Today I'm going to treat my iPad like a sketchbook. If you're new to Procreate or never came across this feature, on Procreate there is a toggle called Page Assist, which is basically a layer / page that you can have multiple pages, kind of like a sketchbook. And the coolest thing about digital drawing compared to traditional drawing like on paper or on canvas is that you can start over, which I did at least 3 times in this drawing session. I had an idea to do like a fun snowy landscape, and I started with some base colors and a fun background, but it just wasn't working. And I couldn't figure out why at first, and so I just deleted that layer and started over again. So I tried to draw something a little bit more fun than a complicated landscape. So I went with an adorable photo of a cat reaching for the camera. And again, I was having the same issue, even though I was able to put in more colors than the first drawing where there was only 2 shades of blue there. Here I was trying to get in some of the shadows and start sort of sketching the area where the face is and try to get in some of those details, and then I would figure out what else to do. But again, I was having that problem where I just didn't know what I was doing. I didn't like what I was making, so I deleted another layer. And what I finally realized wasn't working was that I was creating the shapes before I had a sketch, and I never really did that before. I don't know why I was trying that here for some reason. I think I was just trying to picture the ideal shapes and get those down first instead of sketching and then putting in those shapes where it sketches. So I removed those blobs and tried to sketch. Again, I went with another cat, and I had more fun with this one since I had an idea of what the heck this was supposed to look like. So I scrapped that whole idea, picked a nice color, and just started sketching an adorable kitten in a little hat. So I actually didn't turn on Page Assist yet, because once you want to make another layer, it actually just turns into another page, and I didn't want that to happen. So once I finished this drawing, I turned Page Assist on and then start a new page and then turn it off so that I can have multiple layers, and then I'll just merge those all together and then turn it back on again if I want to create another page. So there's a little complication with using Page Assist, and I don't know if I just don't know how to use it properly or if that's just how it works. But if you want to do it, draw normally, have as many layers as you want. Then once you are ready to make a new page, combine all those, turn Page Assist on, new page, turn it back off, and then make as many layers as you want. Now, I haven't tried this to where it'll exceed the Procreate layers limit, and I think it's like in the 70s or something like that. I don't think I've ever reached it, so I'm not completely sure. Or maybe they want you to use Page Assist as like, don't even make a new layer and try to challenge yourself to do it all in one, which I did kind of do later. After this next drawing, I did a lot of the details in one layer, and then when I needed to put something on top of it, then I'll make a new layer. Highly recommend trying out Page Assist and just use Procreate like a digital sketchbook. I think there are apps that do this, but if you have access to Procreate, you can also try it here, and it's just about the same thing. I actually got this idea because I wanted to sketch out ideas for my journal. I wanted to like test out what the pages would look like for the month of April. I've been like bullet journaling, so I have like my own custom planner, and I draw like each page for the month and, you know, write in my tasks on like the weekly days. And I didn't like how March was looking, so I wanted to get a head start on actually making the next month look nicer. So I literally sketched out what my open journal looks like and then drew on top of that as if I was using it like a book. And I was like, this is really cool. Let me try on this Page Assist feature, and I'll just have multiple pages of that book and just like draw on top of it as if I was using it like a book or a sketchbook. So that's how I got this idea to like keep using that feature and just like have multiple drawings all in one place instead of having them all in one stack. So I actually named this canvas like the date, so that it's kind of like keeping track of the drawings that I did that day instead of like naming them something. You could name your pages something, but I don't think I did that. And for these little clovers here, I wanted to create some shadows, but I didn't want to have to figure out the direction of light on myself. So here's a quick trick on how to do it yourself. First, duplicate that layer and then hit the N, which is the layer settings, and then scroll until you get to multiply, and then select that, and then adjust it to where you like the shadows, like where you think the direction of light is coming from. I didn't like how bright that was, so I turned down the brightness on that layer and then the opacity, and then I just use my smudge brush that I've been using to blend and just kind of go around the edges so that it wasn't so sharp. But you could also use the blur effect to do that, but I just wanted it to kind of make it look like the rest of my drawing. So there's a really quick tip on how to like make your own custom shadows if you're struggling to do it on your own. I think this is really great for items or if you're drawing like plants. So it's a little tip, if you're drawing stuff like portraits or things that have odd shadows, I would say look at a bunch of references on how to get those shadows in the right places so it looks natural. Or you can even use those apps where it has like, you can like use it as a reference. It's like a 3D render of like a person that you can like adjust their poses and stuff like that. I don't have a lot of experiences with those, but this is how I will do it in Procreate sometimes. So finally, I merged all of those layers together once I was happy with the final drawing, and then turned Page Assist on and then started a new page. I'll just speed up me drawing the next sketch for this next drawing because there's a bit more details in here. But I actually haven't been drawing in my iPad in a really long time. And like I said, I recently picked it up to do some like journal ideas. But I originally picked it up because I wanted to create a new wallpaper for my desktop, which you might have seen in the intro. And I spent a day or two working on that, and I had so much fun using the new Procreate brushes and just, creating something on here. And so I just kept on drawing. Like I tried those ideas, and then I was like, what if I just keep using Page Assist like this? So that's where I got that idea to make this video. And I was also excited because I was just finally in a state where I had at least a day of free time to just either work on content creating or creating art in general. And today I had time for that, so I sat down at my desk and did both of those things. You also might have noticed you can see me in the glare of my screen there, and I was looking up and down constantly, especially since this is all sped up. That's because I was looking at my references up on my screen. You can have the reference right on your canvas, and you can adjust it and remove it with our little reference toggle in the settings. I used to use that a lot, but I find that it gets in my way a little bit, and I just want it up, available for me to look at all times, so I started using a separate monitor for that instead of using their little reference feature. You could also put the photo up on there on the canvas itself, which I also used to do until I figured out the reference feature. I have a smaller iPad. It's like they're one of the last generations of this kind of iPad with the home button and everything. So I have less space to work with, and especially with the bezel on the side, which is like the black bar all around the screen, I just need a completely separate place to see where my reference is. So that's why I'm constantly looking up and down. If you've noticed my little head in there, I'm just looking at my references. And I usually do that with most of my drawings. When I have references, I'm constantly looking at the photo to see, for here, for example, where the shadows are coming. Because I think this photo was taken at night, so there's lots of shadows like behind the hair and across the body. So I was looking to put those in the right place so that, you know, the light made sense where it was coming from, like all the highlights. And I also stare at my reference to try to find the right color, especially if I'm painting. That's a little bit harder to achieve because I have to constantly mix or remix or keep adding some kind of color to make it match. But doing that digitally, you can really pick a color without using a ton of paint. So that's another great thing about drawing digitally. Not only can you start over your drawing a million times, you can really test out what you're doing without, you know, using up a bunch of pages in your sketchbook, unless that is your thing, which I'll do sometimes. I have multiple sketchbooks. It's just a great tool that I don't use enough. I used to use it a lot when I started painting. I would like either sketch on paper and then try to figure out where the colors are going to go on Procreate and then start painting and then use my little digital drawing as a reference, or I will just draw the painting idea on there and maybe even print that out and put it onto canvas with like a transfer technique. So I used to use this a lot for like testing out my drawings and stuff, but I haven't been doing that in a really long time and just kind of gotten used to just drawing freehand and working from what I've already did, and that's been lots of fun. But it's cool to like change up your technique every now and then, or just to have fun and draw digitally, which, like I said, I haven't been doing. What usually happens is I fall in love with a Procreate brush, or I even made my own last year that I was using for a lot of my drawings. And with the latest Procreate update, they came with an entire separate library of tons of new beautiful brushes, and that's what I've been using here. I think I've only been using 2 brushes for both of these drawings. This right now is the chocolate brush in the new library. I think it's in like the gouache section. It's like one of their more like painterly brushes, which I've been really liking. And also kind of has like a secondary hue color, which you might have noticed when I've been drawing, like the color changes a bit, which is similar to the brush that I made myself because I really liked that part. And I will also use the dry ink brush to blend. It's like very bubbly, kind of like smoky, and it has like empty holes in it when you use it, but I feel like it's kind of like using a pencil or some kind of crayon where it kind of leaves a bunch of empty gaps. I've been using that to blend as my smudge tool because smudging with the chocolate brush doesn't work as I want it to, so I'll use a different brush, and that also kind of adds a little bit of texture too. I've been using this brush for different things so much that I forgot that I actually adjusted the settings to it, and a way you can do that with keeping the original brush is just duplicating it and then adjusting the settings and then changing the name. So this is actually an adjusted brush of the dry ink brush, and here are the adjustments that I made on the screen. So if you want to use it as a smudge brush, you can just make the same settings that I did and use it as a smudge brush. I also really like this like scratchy brush with a bunch of lines called Dragon Heath, and that's also in the new brush pack section. It's like kind of scratchy looking, where it's just like a bunch of lines, and it depends on how you use the brush where the lines will be closer together. So And I forgot to use that in these drawings because I really wanted to show you guys like some of the new brushes. And it really just takes you looking through every single one and testing them out on the canvas and then just picking your favorites. And so those two have been my favorite from the new pack. And there's also, I mean there's tons. I could go on and on about some of the ones that I found that I really liked, but those three, one's from the original Procreate brushes and the other two are from the new library, and those have been my favorite. And if you want to know more about my digital drawing techniques, I have a couple of videos on my channel of me drawing on Procreate or showing you guys how I draw on Procreate, where I will do an entire drawing from start to finish on there in those videos, and that'll kind of show you guys like some of the tricks that I do. Like if you noticed, my sketch turned into a completely different color, and I didn't actually change the color. I just used the layer settings to make it an overlay, so the saturation is different and it will kind of change color depending on what's underneath that layer. And I like using that for my sketches a lot because instead of redoing the outline like inking, I've just been using overlay instead, and that just makes it look really cool, and I just like how it turns out. Another easy digital drawing trick is using a clipping mask layer, which is just a layer that will, where whatever you draw in there will only clip on certain parts of a layer or certain parts of your drawing depending on which layer you're clipping on top of. And I like to use that technique when I want to completely change the color of something or just adjust something on here. So I use this feature here when I wanted to change the lighting on these necklaces. Like there was shadows on this one side here, so I needed it to look darker over there and then brighter on the other side, so I used clipping mask and adjusted those colors there. And one of my favorite Procreate features is that it records time lapses for you and you can export them. And so here is a time lapse for all of the drawings today. This is about an hour of drawing time. So if you haven't tried these features out yet and you were inspired by this video, go ahead and grab your iPad and start using it like a sketchbook. I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!